Thanks so much for joining us on FinTech Frontiers. We're really excited today to have Konstantin, who is the Chief Business Development Officer and co-founder of Paybis, on the show. Konstantin, you're very welcome.
Hi, Steven. Thank you very much for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure. So I know that Paybis is doing some exciting stuff in the world of digital assets and blockchain. Would you maybe, to kick things off, tell us, what is it that Paybis is doing, and how are you relating to the market?
Yeah, thank you for your question. There are several things that we're doing. I mean, we have, let's say, one direction of our business is that we're serving the customers ourselves with our own product, and we serve business customers and retail customers. At the essence, it's very simple. We give them a possibility to keep crypto with us. So it's basically a crypto wallet, a custodian crypto wallet regulated in many jurisdictions worldwide. So you can manage your assets and store your assets with us in this kind of secure and safe way. And we also provide you an option as a company or as an individual to buy any cryptocurrency from us on our platform, or sell it, or convert it one asset to another asset. So in kind of crypto terminology, we call it on-ramping when people are, let's say, getting into crypto from fiat, and we call it off-ramping when people want to, let's say, get out from crypto and get money back to their bank accounts, for example.
Right.
So these are consumer-oriented products. And then the second part of the business is that we're doing same stuff, but we are doing it for other businesses. So we have a set of B2B products that we kind of sell to other companies, and we help them to do exactly the same as we're doing ourselves. So we help other companies to serve their retail and business customers, to help them convert fiat into crypto and crypto to fiat, to get into stablecoins and get out of stablecoins, for example. We help companies to accept crypto payments as a form of payment, and more and more companies every year are starting to accept crypto in different industries, especially like in classical e-commerce space. And then we also help companies to get, for example, crypto liquidity. So imagine a company wants to pay out crypto to their users, to their community, to their partners, to their affiliates. There are so many different use cases. So we help them to do that as well. So it's a set of different B2B products. In total, we have 5 of them, and they solve different problems for different companies in different industries.
Right. So you're B2C, you're B2B, and tell me where are you based, and where are your customers tend to be?
Originally, we are based out of Riga, Latvia. So this is where is our hometown, where most of our founders team are. I mean, actually, all of our founders team, and I am from Riga, from Latvia. So we have the main office in Riga. Most of the people are in Riga. Yeah, thanks for that. And then we have, of course, a lot of different companies worldwide, like in UK, in Canada, in US, Poland, for many different reasons. Of course, regulation is one thing, because in every jurisdiction where we are, we want and we are getting the local licenses, the local, to be compliant with local regulations, because, crypto industry every year becoming more and more regulated. Some people say, regulations are killing the innovation. Some people say regulations are actually helping the innovation to become mainstream. And I actually think that I'm with the second part of the people, because I believe that regulation actually helps adopting new technologies. Yes, it slows down innovation, but average people, let's say, who are not yet into financial industry, who are not into maybe investments, for them, Bitcoin sometimes and all the cryptocurrencies is still like, some kind of internet money. They don't understand that they don't know how to invest in it, right? And regulation makes it easier for companies like us to bridge this gap between, Web2 people, as we call them, and Web3 people, and help them make the first step, make them the first step into the industry.
Cool. Yeah. Well, I mean, you've been in this business for over a decade, and I guess it's kind of gone from the Wild West to pretty mainstream now.
It is going that direction, yes. I cannot say that it's 100% mainstream. There are still, as you know, like with Trump coming in the US into presidency, he's saying that, okay, now we will become better in terms of regulations, and they still have a way to go. Just last week, SEC, I think it was SEC who finally gave a green light to all the banks that they can start working with crypto-related businesses, because like before, they were saying, no, don't touch it at all.
Yeah.
And there was like a couple of banks.
Yeah. The Biden administration seemed to be quite down on crypto and the tech industry in general. That was the vibe.
And now the vibe is changing. In Europe, that we all know that MiCA is coming.
Yes.
Also, European Parliament is trying to make things regulated. Other countries will follow. We know that, let's say, Asian countries, they're still on the side where they like don't understand it and they try to de-risk it, like China, for example, India. There is a lot of population there, a lot of potential revenues and customers. They are a little bit behind on regulation yet, but I think next 5 years they will catch up.
Okay. And tell me, so is your customer base truly global? And what's the mix between the business and the consumers?
Yeah, our customer base is really global. I mean, from the retail side of things, we have more than 5 million customers, and 40% from them are from United States. About 30% is Europe, and then the rest of the world. So it's quite a good mix. Our main goal when we created like the retail product was to make it easy for people anywhere in the world to get into crypto. In different
Yes.
countries, you have different payment methods. Like in Africa, for example, many people are unbanked. They don't have Visa, MasterCard, but they have a mobile phone with a mobile operator, which is a form of payment in their jurisdictions.
Yeah.
So
That's
we are
right.
trying to help these customers getting into financial and or crypto industry as well.
Yeah. We actually Keeper Solutions worked with a bank for the emerging markets called Umba over the last decade. And I know down in places like Kenya, they've been using the M-Pesa, which is the prepaid
Exactly. We have the same.
for the mobile. So it looks like that if crypto is presented to the consumers in a way that it's very tangible, that it's very liquid and very easy to transact with it, then I think there's a great potential for those use cases amongst the unbanked, say in Africa.
Yeah, and we are, providing our B2B solutions. So any company who wants to start, let's say, doing the same in Africa and helping local population to get into crypto, they can just take our solution. We do a white label for them, and they do the marketing. You cannot kind of scale yourself, right? So we are trying to do the white label solution, so our partners can scale their businesses based on our technology, infrastructure, and compliance. And then your question was about the business customers, where they are from, and they are also worldwide. We have partners in the United States, in Israel, in Europe, Emirates, in Asia. So it's really truly global coverage, and we don't have any kind of preference, of course.
Yeah.
We will like to
Excellent.
work with.
Yeah. So you're kind of enabling your clients to provide crypto services onto their customers.
Yes. We also have wallets as a service as one of the products. So, for example, imagine a company would like to create a crypto wallet and start helping the local community in their country, or they have some project which would benefit from a crypto wallet, and it would take them quite a while to build one.
Yeah.
So what we do, we give our white label solution, which can be just integrated in a couple of weeks. You don't have to build infrastructure, you don't have to build UI. You just integrate it in your project and, give your customers now an opportunity within your line of work, within your line of business to get access to the crypto wallets. Buy
Great.
crypto, store crypto, use it as a normal wallet under your brand. So this is kind of the idea.
So I suppose in the past, a criticism of Bitcoin or even Ether was that they weren't really that well suited for payments. So things have moved on now. Are many people using crypto for payments at this stage, or what are you seeing?
Because asset, right? A lot of companies just diversify their investment portfolio in crypto. I mean, you coin. Gold. Diversify and invest. Ethereum is also on that road, but since there is a lot of DeFi projects based on Ethereum is still used in DeFi space to pay for network fees and so on and so on. If we look at the commerce part of things, and when people actually buy goods or services, most people are still using stablecoins, because the problem with crypto is that if you want to pay for something online, right, which usually has a fixed price in euros or dollars or any other fiat currency, you want something not so volatile, because you have a fiat currency, which is, the price fluctuates. You have crypto that price fluctuates. And if you want to pay just $100, you have your USDT or USDC, or now there are so many other stablecoins. In most cases, you will use stablecoins to pay for it, because it's easy for you as a buyer. It's easy for the seller. So majority of e-commerce payments still happen in stablecoin. Of course, there are people who has a lot of, let's say, maybe Bitcoin or Ethereum set aside, and they go somewhere and they just want to spend it. But it's the minor case, so to say.
Okay. Okay. And what are the most popular stable coins that are currently being used?
USDT and USDC, obviously.
Yeah.
There is an interesting website called DeFi Llama, like an animal, where you can see the stablecoin market cap for every stablecoin. I mean, now you would be surprised. There are more than 100 different stablecoins out there.
Yes.
It's like if you remember the times like 2017 when there was a boom of new tokens, I see initial coin offerings and so on. There was thousands of new tokens created during that year.
Yes.
Now there is a boom on stablecoin. Everybody wants to repeat the same success as Tether, because last year they closed the year earning like 6 billion in revenues just from issuing stablecoins and monetizing on the funds they hold. So everybody wants to enter the same game. Yeah. But of course, top two is stablecoin. Stablecoins are USDT and USDC. And USDT, even when we see, for example, from our statistics, let's say 15% of all the trading volume on our site is USDT. USDC is just 2%. But 6 months ago, USDC was zero. So USDC becoming more in demand again because MiCA in Europe is restricting USDT. USDT doesn't want to comply to MiCA regulations. So I think like in a year from now, USDC will have more capital or market cap, let's say.
Okay, cool. So right now. And let's use that segue into MiCA regulation. So what do what's your take on them and what's that doing to the market for crypto in Europe?
Well, as we always say, the intentions are always good, but the realization of those intentions is not always good. Mm-hmm. So what's happening with MiCA now is that the European Union has, of course, tried to regulate it, but all the regulators, they're coming from the classical banking sectors and so on. Yeah. So what we see is that they are trying to overcomplicate the regulations. Yeah. Which might just prevent them from actually working. Because you cannot stop the innovation. Yeah. You have to adapt. I mean, and regulators always are adapting. Look at Uber, all the car sharing and taxis. Regulations always adapt to the businesses that innovate. So in this case, the regulation is trying to adapt, but MiCA is getting postponed in some countries and postponed because regulators still don't understand how to interpret those regulations from European Union, how to actually make them. MiCA regulation wants to know every custodian crypto wallet out there and who it belongs to, like with bank accounts. So MiCA wants to make crypto equal to the banking system where they control and have overview of all the funds which are going on the network, and they know every token holder.
But say if you compare a blockchain architecture to, say, for example, the SWIFT, international payments network, there's more transparency with a blockchain architecture because there's a full log of every transaction on the chain. So shouldn't it be possible with that architecture to kind of be able to comply with, easily comply with the regulations because there's a full capture of all activity on the blockchain? Or what's the challenge, do you think, for the industry?
It's yes and no. In terms of asset transfer, like a digital asset which is transferred from one place to another place, blockchain is perfect, right? You know how much was transferred, what was transferred, when it was transferred, and so on. Everything remains public. The problem is that you need to map all these addresses to individual companies, and this is a problem. Blockchain was not designed in the way that it would store inside the information about me as a owner of this wallet, about you as the owner of this wallet as a company. And now what MiCA is trying to do, it's trying to create a general kind of additional database in Europe where all the service providers, all the wallet providers, all the crypto exchanges would feed all that data so they can match it in the database and identify every wallet on the network and understand all the transactions.
So that they want to take that kind of anonymity that was kind of implied by the blockchain. I guess that suggests that that there's that the on-ramp, you've got your full KYC AML, so that the individual is identified, verified, and then authorized. So, but is it that if you have just one player to a transaction that hasn't come on through one of the authorized on ramps, then there's an issue?
Yeah, that's what they're trying to solve, because people can get into crypto from many different starting points, so to say.
Outside the EU, for example.
Even inside EU, I mean, you have non-custodial wallets, you have decentralized exchanges, you have DeFi projects. You can earn crypto in so many ways. But
Yes.
then at some point, when you want to convert the crypto to fiat and get into, let's say, bridge between crypto and traditional finance, so you can get money to your bank account and spend it on something, this is
Yeah.
the moment they want to identify you. Because again, it's two reasons, right? One, of course, is the taxation part. In crypto, most people, since it's anonymous, I mean, it's a free will for people to report their crypto earnings. Government
Right.
cannot
They,
track it
they,
anyhow.
they want to
Second
catch
is, of
the tax man. Yeah.
yeah. So the taxman's getting more happy. Then the next thing is, of course, the IML, right? Because you don't have such strict control for finance, let's say, for part of the transactions which might be involved in some,
Yes.
let's say, not so clean scenarios, right?
Yeah.
Money laundering, terrorist financing. Of course, the regulation, I mean, primary goal is that they want to make sure that crypto is not used to finance, especially now when there is war happening, active war
Yeah.
in the world, especially now when the crypto is used to finance either Middle East issues or Ukrainian conflict and so on and so on.
Yeah.
So
So
this is
that
kind of the
crypto
second
is
goal.
crypto can kind of currently root around, for example, the US
Sanctions.
uses the global financial system to impose sanctions, but I think probably the higher Bitcoin goes, the easier it is to go around those sanctions. And there's all these shadow fleets and
Exactly.
payments to parties in sanctioned countries that can just kind of go past the
From that
sanctions.
perspective, the regulation is good, right? Because the regulation would prevent crypto to be used illegally. And I mean, I am as a crypto enthusiast, of course, I want that to be true, right? I want
Mhm.
crypto to become really like a day-to-day asset that we can use, a normal person can use without being afraid or without being skeptical and something like that. If you remember, like when cryptos just started, like in 2011 and then like 2014 when I joined, and when I told my friends that I'm now joining a company to work on crypto, everybody was like, cryptocurrency? I mean, Bitcoin is like some dark net money. Nobody understood that. And I mean, in the beginning, it was like this, right?
Yes.
Silk Road, we all know about Silk Road and so on. But
Yeah.
now the amount of crypto used on the dark market is less than the amount of cash which is used for legal activities, because
Yeah.
of the transparency, because of the
Yeah.
online
Yeah.
on-chain analytical tools. Because now, even if it's anonymous, there are still ways how you can detect if crypto has been used for any illegal,
Yeah.
let's say, matters or not.
Yeah. Well, it leaves a trail and it can be followed up.
Exactly.
Yeah. And like, I mean, I'm seeing in fintech conferences in London, the Chancellor of the Exchequer, Rachel Reeves, is coming along and talking about the importance of stablecoin and crypto as, as part of innovation and the need for regulation to reduce uncertainty and the need for the innovators to push ahead. I think they're seeing the innovation in crypto as being part of their effort to drive growth in the British economy, as well as other parts of the fintech sector. So it does seem to be gone quite mainstream. On the European side, I was at a conference yesterday in Dublin, where there was Peter Verkens, who is the father of Dora, and he's the EU co-chair of the FinTech committee. He spoke about the pendulum of. He was asked, like, where do you see regulations in the next 5 years going with the EU, and he spoke about the pendulum swinging back after the financial crash of 2008, and then the sovereign debt crisis of 2011. There was an awful lot of financial regulations that came in to try and clean up and the mess and to mitigate the risks. Now, I think that the the politician, everybody is seeing that, in Europe, excessive regulation of AI, crypto, and other things is dampening innovation, and so he was saying that the pendulum is swinging back, and that the regulators are aiming to bring in certainty to regulate areas, but they're trying to step back and let the market, the innovators innovate. So I was refreshed to see that type of attitude from somebody who's quite instrumental in regulating in Europe. And I hope that translates into what's happening on the ground. We'll see, I guess.
Yeah, it's quite a good feedback that I hear from you.
Yeah. So can you tell me in terms of like how you're going about innovation to differentiate yourselves and to keep ahead of your competitors? What are the kind of things that as a fintech that you're doing that are working to drive the success of your company?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, since as I mentioned, we have various let's say B2B products. I mean, in order to innovate, you need to be there on the field and talk to the businesses. We for
Yes.
example, since last year, April or even earlier, we started to go to different industry conferences, the industry, other industries like fintech industries. Like we have been in Pay 360 conference in London like a month, I think, or a bit more ago. We're not only
You
sorry?
could spend your whole time going to them, but yeah,
Yeah,
they're
yeah, but the idea is that you go there, you talk to the
yeah,
businesses, you understand the problems that they're facing, and
yeah,
then you're trying to build the solutions for
yeah,
these problems. So a lot of
great,
our products have been developed and created after understanding that there is a problem on the market. And then, of course, you try to go with the MVP approach, right? So you try to build a first initial product to validate your business idea. You have initial kind of contacts or interest from other businesses. You kind of deliver to them the first version of the product. They start using this, and then you understand, okay, what extra things you need to have in place
yeah,
to make this product work and solve the problem. So
great,
it's like a classical waterfall approach where you maybe spend 1 year, do the research, build everything, release it to the market. Maybe you will realize that half of the features you created, nobody needs them
yeah,
at all, or there is no
right,
product market fit. So in our approach, we're trying kind of agile approach. So we're trying to first get the demand and then build the features and products based on that demand. And of course, you have to know your competition, right? You need to know your competition, because if you are trying to sell B2B products or services to other companies, they always will choose between you and others on the market. So you need to know your competition, and you need to try to create the features which stand out. So, for example, when we talk to the customers or potential customers, we also ask them like, do they like their current service provider? What are the things they like that they don't like? What are the challenges? What are the pain points? Maybe you want, it doesn't still solve all your problems. And then we try to create features on our side which actually solve those problems which other competitors doesn't, which helps the businesses either to convert better, maybe to have higher success rates, maybe to make it cheaper, or maybe to make it a better UI UX for their customers. So you can always compete on pricing.
yeah,
But you also need to compete on features, and of
yes,
course the kind of the way you manage the customers. Since we're
yeah,
still young, I mean, relatively young company. I mean, we're just started in this B2B area not long time ago, a couple of years, because before we have been purely focused on B2C
great.
ourselves. And we're still kind of nimble and we can adapt. And this is kind of our one of our
Yeah.
strengths, right? When we hear what customer wants, we can
Mhm.
easily adapt it to it and deliver what some tailor made solutions for them.
And Constantine, like everyone's talking about AI these days, obviously. So are you're no doubt you're starting to see it creep into different functions. Can you just tell me how AI is turning up in your business?
Yeah. So we have been actually using AI for more than 5 years, back in the days when it was called just machine learning.
Yes.
And we are not using it directly in house, but we have partnered with service providers who provide to us anti-fraud services. Because, I mean, one of our
Right.
main retail business is be able to sell, let's say, Bitcoin for credit cards, right? So you can, as a person, go to our website, buy, Bitcoin with Apple Pay, Google Pay, or credit cards. And then we all know that there is a certain level of fraud with the when you deal with card payments.
Yes.
So we kind of partnered with the Israeli company called Ensure. They are their main objective was to manage the fraud with the help of AI and machine learning. I
Yes.
mean, and we all understand now that again these days it makes sense because the AI model can analyze like hundreds of parameters on the fly, make a decision in like 1 second, instead of your anti-fraud department taking maybe minutes or maybe even hours to analyze specific transaction and understand if it's
Yeah.
good enough for our risk appetite or not. AI model can be trained. I mean, it constantly gets the data about the success cases, about the failed cases when we have chargebacks or when we have fraud. It analyzes it and it can react and adapt on the fly. So this is one
Yeah.
area where AI helps a lot.
Yeah. And that's going to be pretty critical when you're onboarding users. When they're getting through the onboarding process, it needs to be effective, needs to be quick, you can have a certain
Yeah.
amount of friction, but too much friction and you might lose the,
This allows us to scale because AI doesn't matter if it's like 100 users per 1 hour coming to and buying crypto, or it's like 10,000. It doesn't really matter.
yeah,
It
yeah,
would work in the same way, and it can find or identify the fraud patterns very
yeah,
quickly and stop it. So again, limiting the financial
yeah.
impact for us.
I know some of the banks in the US, when they were seeing like maybe 40,000 new account signups in an hour, they were actually having to shut down their online onboarding channel because those sort of volumes were telling them that there was something funny going on. So that
Yeah.
on occasions they've done that. Cool. So it's very helpful in that use case, and I'm sure that it's probably coming in more. And a lot of fintech founders are kind of thinking about how they, what data do they have and what sort of high value use cases they can be thinking about for the future. Is a process like that taking place in Paybis also?
Yes, yes, but AI is developing so quickly, and we are always like on the edge and looking like what else we can use it for, or what additional value it can bring. And for example, we have been experimenting with, in my sales department, with outreach, like that you can use AI.
Personalization or identifying ideal customers?
One is personalization and identifying the customers and the companies in specific, let's say, industry or
Yeah,
segment. Another
yeah,
thing is the actual communication. So there is also a company that we worked with and we kind of good friends, like, called Enrich, and they are trying to use AI in automated outreach through Telegram. So they have some bots which can contact the potential prospects on your behalf and do like initial conversation, right? To get them interested, ask questions, maybe give them some information. So they are experimenting with it. I'm also kind of closely looking like what they're doing in this space, because once this solution becomes kind of mainstream or kind of
yeah,
predictable, because it's still like a prototype,
yeah,
then of course that could be something that could help any sales organization. Sales with AI, I think there is a benefit if you can train it on your business, on your company, on your products, on your pricing, everything that you typically teach your sales guys in, and it can do the lead generation and have this initial conversation and get customers, maybe manage a couple of objections, like normal
yes,
cases, like when customer says, well, we don't need your services. You can train the model to play around and maybe actually get them interested in a call and in conversation to find out something maybe they haven't considering yet.
yeah.
So I
Sales
think
and
this is
marketing certainly is a good, it's a good area and we're seeing companies actively thinking about how they can
marketing. Yes.
do more. Yeah,
Yeah, marketing is the next area where we are trying to apply AI. Of course, I mean, I think a lot of companies are using Gen AI already now to generate content.
yeah,
Public marketing, all the marketing campaigns. It's now kind of a standard, I would say. Maybe only lazy people don't use it. But apart from that, in our line of business, it's very kind of let's say fintech related, right? It's payments. So our
yeah,
main goal is for other companies to provide them with payment rails for their customers, for their line of businesses,
yeah,
help them convert fiat to crypto at scale through API and and stuff like that. So there, at the moment, I don't see a lot of, let's say, use cases for AI because it's pretty
yeah.
straightforward in payments.
Yes.
But everything around, yeah, it's a good basis
Yeah.
to try it
Cool.
out.
Nice. Thanks for sharing that. And look, just to wrap up then, could you tell me what are the next 3 to 5 years looking like for Paybis? What's your direction and where are you going?
We're planning to continue developing our consumer-oriented products for retail customers and for businesses. And the direction that we are going right now, what we see is in demand from our customers is towards becoming a neo bank type of company, right? Because now we give the customer access to crypto wallets to be able to on ramp, off ramp, and we want to also give them access to the banking as well, right?
Yeah.
Being able to give them the bank accounts in Europe, in the United States, in UK, so they can not just be able to store their, let's say, wealth in crypto, but also store it in fiat and have a very simple way to convert between fiat and crypto whenever they need it. This is one direction where we're going. And then, of course, we're continuing to develop our B2B products that we sell to our businesses. And it's mainly focused on, increasing the global coverage, because there are still so many countries with so many payment methods, with so many, let's say, people who don't still have access to crypto or financial sector, which we want to kind of tackle. And
Yeah.
this is one direction where we're
Inclusion.
growing. Yes, and of course the The next big, the thing which is always in our mind is automation, because as we mentioned, we build some MVPs for the specific industries, for specific companies. We see that it works, then you need to automate everything, so it's becoming more and more scalable. Right. So in the end result, we see ourselves as a kind of classical fintech, which from the consumer perspective gives access to retail people and businesses to fiat and crypto at the same way, and make it seamless to migrate from fiat to crypto and on the way back, to make it as simple as possible, and be able to spend their crypto, be able for businesses to accept crypto payments, issue invoices in crypto, and everything any classical business might want. At the same time, all our products that we're doing ourselves for our consumers, we want to productize into B2B packages and be able to sell to other companies that they can do the same.
Great. Well, I think it's a bright future ahead of you. You've covered a lot of ground already, and I think you're going to be covering a lot more, maybe evolving into a neobank. That sounds pretty cool. So, Konstantin, thanks so much for sharing your insights into what's going on in the world of crypto and in the Paybis world or universe. It's been fascinating. So, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Steven. Thank you, Steven. Cheers.